Now, in a major development in the Far East, South Korea has announced that it will compensate its civilians who were pushed into forced labor during Japanese occupation in the early 20th century. The move is being criticized by opposition parties who believe that the compensation should have been paid by Japanese companies that had benefited from decades of exploitation, in line with the Supreme Court ruling. As per the announcement by the South Korean government, the victims will be compensated through a public foundation. It will be funded by domestic companies which had benefited from a 1965 reparation deal with Japan. The foreign minister made the announcement hoping to end one major dispute which has been acting as a barrier in reconciling the relations between South Korea and Japan.
강제징용 피해자 유족 지원 및
As part of the support for forced labor victims and their family members, the Foundation for Victims of Forced Mobilization by Imperial Japan will pay compensation and delayed interest to the plaintiffs of 3 Supreme Court decisions in 2018. I expect Japan will respond with a comprehensive apology from the government and voluntary participation from Japanese companies to our government's grand determination to create a breakthrough to improve the strained South Korea-Japan ties.
그리고 일본 기업의 자발적인 기여.
The announcement has been welcomed by both Japan and the United States. Washington hailed it as a groundbreaking chapter in relations between the two allies. It has been trying for a long time to forge cooperation between the two nations to counter the dual threat of China and North Korea. Japan's foreign minister also expressed his appreciation for the plan.
We welcome the measures announced by the South Korean government today as a way to restore a healthy relationship between Japan and South Korea, which has been in a very difficult situation since South Korea's Supreme Court ruling in 2018.
However, the reaction was not so positive in Seoul. The announcement fell short of victim groups' demands for a full apology from Tokyo and direct compensation from the Japanese companies involved. Civic groups gathered outside the South Korean Foreign Ministry building on Monday in protest. They said that the announcement was in direct violation of what the country's Supreme Court had ordered back in 2018.
We protest this pro-Japanese, unpatriotic deal which lacks apology or legal compensation. What rights does this Yoon Suk-yeol administration have to commit such atrocities when the victims are opposed to it and when there is a Supreme Court decision?
The issue dates back to 1910, when Japan had colonized Korea for 35 long years and forced thousands into labor. Women too were pushed into sex work at brothels especially made for the Japanese military. As per data, nearly 800,000 people were conscripted into labor of different kind. The plan announced by Seoul has not addressed the grievances of affected women and their families. The relations plunged to the lowest level in 2018 when Seoul's Supreme Court ordered Japanese firms to pay reparations to former forced laborers. Tokyo had reacted furiously to the ruling. It placed export controls on chemicals vital to South Korea's semiconductor industry in 2019, citing the deterioration of bilateral trust. It still maintains that all the issues were settled between the two nations through a 1965 treaty which was signed to normalize relations.